Featuring captivating and unforgettable characters in some of the most ruthless environments imaginable, these films are some of the best and most entertaining in existence. Here are the top 10 hood movies of all time. Number 10. If you're like most people, then you've probably never heard of Road Dogs. Released in 2002 and directed by Alfredo Ramos, this sleeper hood movie doesn't star any big names, but it does feature excellent, authentic-feeling performances from Clifton Collins Jr., Greg Serrano, and Jacob Vargas. This is a coming-of-age movie that focuses on three teenage friends who will all face an individual crisis that will shape the course of their life. The movie starts off a little slow, but it picks up the pace and does an admirable job of intertwining the different threads to create a realistic and believable ending. Number 9. Released in 1998 and directed by Hype Williams, Belly was one of the most anticipated hood movies ever. The movie stars Nas, DMX, T-Boz, Method Man, and other notable figures of the late 90s hip-hop scene. And the movie did not disappoint, with the cast delivering the kind of gritty realism that fans were hoping for. Although this movie wasn't the easiest to make, with reports of frequent conflicts between Hype Williams and producers, as well as cast members repeatedly showing up drunk, high, or late. The movie also only had a $3 million budget, a large portion of which was actually spent on the opening scene filmed at the famous Tunnel nightclub in New York City. Nas and DMX both excel as two friends caught up in a life of organized crime. Number 8. Released in 1991 and directed by Mario Van Peebles, New Jack City is a classic hood movie that has stood the test of time. This is in large part due to the legendary cast, which includes Wesley Snipes, Ice-T, and Chris Rock. Snipes stars as Nino Brown, a vicious Harlem drug kingpin who has built an empire as a result of the surging crack epidemic of the late 1980s. Ice-T stars as Scotty Appleton, a fearless detective who vows to stop Nino by going undercover to infiltrate his gang. For Appleton, this proves to also be a personal vendetta, as Nino actually murdered his mother for a gang initiation. At the time of release, this film was quite edgy, introducing everyone to the cold and merciless underworld of New York. The film was also a huge hit, grossing over $47 million on a budget of just $8 million. Number 7. Released in 1995 and directed by Nick Gomez, New Jersey Drive tells the story of Jason and Midget, two young black teenagers in Newark, New Jersey, which is one of the most notorious car theft cities in the world. This movie is absolutely wild in the audacity of these teens and the crimes they commit, so much so that you can't help but find humor in it all. Spike Lee serves as the executive producer, ensuring that the film hits in a true-to-life way that only Spike knows how to deliver. But this film is more than just carjackings, as the plot takes an interesting turn when the main characters boldly decide to steal a police car, and this in turn leads the cops to launching a violent offensive. Interestingly enough, director Nick Gomez used to steal and joyride cars himself when he was a teen growing up in Boston. Number 6. Released in 1993 and directed by the Hughes brothers, Menace to Society is a hood movie classic that many would argue belongs higher on this list. Set in the Watts and Crenshaw areas of Los Angeles, this movie is not for the faint of heart, as it features many gruesome scenes portraying what many experience within a criminal life in the ghetto. The movie stars Tyron Turner, Lorenz Tate, and Jada Pinkett Smith. Turner stars as Kane, a young LA street hustler who eventually decides to try to escape the life of crime and the dead-end path that he finds himself on. This movie was a box office success when it was released, grossing $30 million on a budget of just $3.5 million. Number 5. Directed by Jeff Pollock and released in 1994, Above the Rim is a compelling hood movie that effectively combines crime with basketball. The movie stars Dwayne Martin, Leon, Marlon Wayans, and the late Tupac Shakur. Martin plays Kyle Lee Watson, a rising high school basketball star who aspires to play college ball at Georgetown University. As he anxiously awaits news on whether or not he will receive a scholarship, Watson soon finds himself in an interesting dilemma involving a popular street basketball tournament. The plot centers on two brothers, one of whom is a drug dealer and one of whom is now a security guard who Watson resents for dating his mother. While this movie may not be critically acclaimed, it is quite entertaining and easy to watch. And one of its songs, Regulate by Warren G, was actually nominated for Best Song at the 1995 MTV Movie Awards. Number 4. Directed by Antoine Fuqua and released in 2001, Training Day is a fast-paced hood movie, but one that proves to be different than most. The film stars Denzel Washington and Ethan Hawke, and even includes minor appearances by Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. Hawke stars as Jake Hoyt, a rookie Los Angeles cop who is assigned to work with Washington's character, Detective Alonzo Harris. Hoyt soon learns things are not what they seem, and it becomes increasingly difficult how he's supposed to do his job and effectively enforce the law. That's because Harris has a lot of lessons in store for this young, naive cop, and Hoyt isn't so sure he wants to become like his older mentor. This crime thriller is filled with action all the way through to the ending and shows us exactly why Denzel Washington is one of this generation's greatest actors. Number 3. Released in 1992 and directed by Ernest Dickerson, Juice delves into the lives of 4 black teens growing up in Harlem, capturing their daily experiences and struggles with police, rival gangs, their families, and ultimately each other. It paints a vivid portrait of their lives as they work to survive in this hostile environment. The film stars Omar Epps, Jermaine Hopkins, Khalil Kain, and Tupac Shakur in his acting debut, where he gives an absolutely spellbinding performance as a callous and cold-hearted thug. The juice is what these inner-city teens refer to as power and street credibility, and we soon discover the extreme lengths they will go to in order to get it. Number 2. Released in 2009 and directed by Cary Fukunaga, you may think Sin Nombre doesn't belong in this video. After all, this is far from your typical LA or NYC hood movie. But Sin Nombre is unequivocally one of the best on this list, featuring a young Mexican gangster who soon finds himself on the run with a young Honduran girl who both hope to cross the border into the United States. And although the movie is set in Mexico, the hood where this captivating film takes place is as real as it gets, with its throat-grabbing scenes commanding you to keep watching, as though you are watching true events that actually took place. There's a reason this movie is critically acclaimed, including winning 2 Sundance Film Festival awards. If you've already seen it, then make sure to post in the comments letting us know your thoughts. Before we unveil the best hood movie of all time, let's give a couple of honorable mentions. First up is Paid in Full, which was released in 2002 and directed by Charles Stone III. Produced by Damon Dash and Jay-Z and starring Wood Harris, Mekhi Phifer, and Cameron, this movie communicates authenticity and with every painstaking and gripping detail. A young man from Harlem who must contend with the realities of life in the 1980s drug scene ultimately rises to the challenge and builds an illegal empire. But when his conscience starts to catch up with him, he must decide whether to stick to his path or take a different route. Our second honorable mention goes to South Central, which was released in 1992 and directed by Stephen Milburn Anderson. Produced by Oliver Stone, this film features a former gangster just released from prison who is looking to make a fresh start and save his 10-year-old son from the dangers of gang life. Okay, now let's get back to our list, finishing off with number 1. If you guessed BOYZ in the Hood, you would be correct, as this movie set the bar for hood movies when it was released back in 1991. And since then, not a single movie of the genre has eclipsed it, even though many have tried. Directed by the late legendary John Singleton, this powerful drama follows the lives of three young men growing up in the rough South Central LA neighborhood of Crenshaw. From poverty and gang violence to fatherhood and friendship, this classic hood movie explores all these themes with an intense and almost hypnotizing flair. Featuring an ensemble cast including Cuba Gooding Jr., Ice Cube, Morris Chestnut, and Lawrence Fishburne, Boys in the Hood was met with critical and commercial success. It earned 2 Academy Award nominations, including Best Original Screenplay for Singleton, making him the youngest person and first African American to be nominated in that category. This film is a must-see for anyone looking for a powerful and thought-provoking portrayal of life in the inner city. Make sure to post in the comments if we missed any good ones. And if you like hood movies, then chances are you can probably appreciate a good mafia movie. Click the video appearing on your screen right now if you want to see the top 10 mafia movies of all time, and I will meet you there momentarily.